Welcome back, Radium Podcast, episode 17. We got a special guest today, Zoe Young.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Thanks for coming through. Kevin's here too. Kevin
Always here.
KDE on the beat.
Hi, Kevin.
Hi, Kevin. Hey, kids.
That might be a new tag. Hi, Kevin.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there you go.
Every beat.
Hi, Kevin. We'll just get a group of kids to do it, though.
Yeah. Kids choir.
Kids choir. So, Zoe, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little background for our listeners.
All right. My name is Zoe Young. I am vice president of A&R at Epic Records. I've been working there for maybe a little bit over 3 years. My main projects are French Montana and Blac Youngsta. And I really love my job. I love what I do. I love working with artists. I love working with producers. I love, just everything about the music business and just really trying to help other people, become as successful as my artists have been.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Those are some very successful artists.
Yeah, I mean, we're still growing. It took a long time. With French, I've been working with for over 10 years. But then when I left French to go work at Epic as an A&R, I ended up signing him as an artist there. So I was able to complete my task and really get to finish working with him.
That's
so
sick.
That was really great. And, Blac Youngsta is a little bit more new for me. We started working together maybe 3 years ago when I just got to Epic. And, we just built from the bottom. He literally had no music or anything out. And we just got in the studio and I had a vision for him. He had a vision for himself. And we just went to work.
Yeah, that's super dope.
Yeah, he's had a lot of recent success. And I can tell that it was, calculated and correlated, and a lot went into, making everything happen.
I'm doing a lot of calculations right now
yeah.
so that we can see some more success on the next run. Because I'm telling him, eyes are on you now. Before, it's a little bit harder when no one's paying attention yet. You have to force them to pay attention. But now that we have the people's attention, it's going to be a little bit easier. We just got to keep delivering great music, great videos, and just keeping him. He's a social guy, and I tell him, you have to post. You have to stay relevant.
Yeah.
You have to let the people see you. When you have time off, I love Memphis, I love Atlanta, I love Miami, but you need to come be in LA and park here with me.
Yeah.
Because this is where it happens. You want Hollywood? You got to come to Hollywood.
Right. Get in the studio, come meet some people, get the records going. So explain to people, because I don't know if everyone knows. I mean, I'm not even very clear on 100% what an A&R does. So what are the day-to-day for an A&R?
So A&R stands for artist and repertoire, and different A&Rs are good at different things.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
But I personally work for the record label because you have independent A&Rs that work for themselves or just work for an artist, and the levels of responsibility vary. Mm-hmm. But for me personally, I work for Epic Records. So per Epic Records, my job is to make sure that everything musically related to French Montana and Blac Youngsta, who I'm assigned to, is taken care of. So the main thing is going to be the album process.
Yeah.
And that's when when you're recording an album, when your budget is open, that's how you know something is happening. Because you can be on the label when your budget is not open yet. You're not recording, you're just there getting ready. But once your budget is open, we're in the studio. For me as an A&R, what I try to do is try to bring my whole artist profile up. So if you're a C artist, I want to bring you to a B artist. If you're a B artist, you got to be an A artist. If you're an A artist, you got to be an A+ artist. So it's just trying to figure out what can you do to help build a profile. And of course, it's more than music. But the music is the most important part because that's what starts a conversation. You don't even have the right record. You're not going to get the looks that you're looking for. You're not going to get the visibility. You're not going to get the fan base. So for me, really we have a saying is it starts in A&R. It starts in our department.
Yeah.
So for me, as an A&R, one main thing I have to do day to day in the recording process is, book the studio. And booking the studio now is just, it's not as simple as it used to be. As your artist grows and they get bigger, they have more requests about where they want to work and, what type of environment they want to be in. And even for safety reasons, it's also very important that I put them in safe places and I know who else is in the studio.
Right.
And, because when you work with gangster rappers, it's real out here, know. I've had a lot of people that have been my close friends that have been artists and have died. And just been in crazy situations. So I always tell people, safety first. I'm always with the artist. I'm in car A. I'm driving in the car next to him. I'm standing in the studio next to him, standing in the club next to him. We're moving around together. So my safety is something to always be considered. So I'm always,
I was going to say, because
sure.
it's not like you're a big You know? Yeah. Unless you just stay strapped all the time.
I'm a little petite, and the gun laws are a little crazy in California. So
gotta keep it strapped.
Man. So
you're A&R and bodyguard.
I like to call it head of security.
That's what's up.
There it is. Yeah.
But
you're just really good at delegation. I take it.
Nah, for sure. So we'll always make sure the studio's booked. We'll make sure like he's in there working with the best producers and who he wants to work with. We'll make sure everybody gets paid. Mm-hmm. We'll make sure all the songs are clear. We'll make sure there are no samples. Like when I write the credits to an album, I write the credits out of my head. Because I'm literally the only person that can tell you what we recorded, who was in the room.
Right. Yeah, that's important.
Who added, who didn't add.
Yeah.
I damn near could tell you what French had on.
Yeah.
Like and where we went before. It's just something that you just grow to know. And so when I write the credits, that's like a really important thing because I don't want to forget anybody. Because man, when you forget somebody, you like never hear the end of it.
Yeah.
What? They get really, really, really upset. So I always try to not especially if you're working with people we don't normally work with, and like even if it's an assistant intern or something, like, hey, you worked on this, you help. I like to credit you because the only way you can technically order a plaque, unless it's gifted to you, is if your name is in the credits. So it's really important to be in the credits. And, credits are like, it was almost like a last of a dying breed because we're not really doing hard copies anymore.
Yeah. Right.
Most projects are digital, but there's been like a lot of different databases, like I think it's like allmusic.com and a couple of different ones that like are starting to track. So even when I do an album and it's still digital, I always turn in the credits because somewhere along the line, somebody's going to need to know, and even for myself, like, hey, I want you to know, like, I officially worked on this project.
Yeah. And it's I think also a really nice way of working with someone in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
Because these interns, the engineer that might be in the session might end up being a multi-platinum producer in the future.
Yeah, and you also want to make sure that like there's credibility because people will say like, hey, I worked with this person. I worked with... No, you didn't.
No, you didn't. You didn't do shit.
You didn't. You didn't write that.
You sat in the car and got high.
Never heard of you.
Right.
And sometimes people feel like they should get credit. I'm like, what do you want credit for? I was in the room. Okay, that's not like I don't even know where to write that in. Like I can't. You can't like you can't in the room. Get paid for being in the room. Like
people have tried though.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we appreciate the creative energy. Like a French Montana session sometimes can have just 5 people, or they could be 50 people, literally. Like, and it's just like monitoring the room. Like as an A&R, like I don't mind like if there's 50 people in the room as long as like he's working and we're recording and we're not getting sidetracked. And like it's cool to feed off the energy. But if you're in the studio and there's too much going on and no one's actually working and there are no vocals being laid, then you have a problem. But if you can somehow construct your artist to like stay focused within it's organized chaos. You know what I mean? You can end up building out a really good vibe. Like people know my sessions are pretty lit.
Yeah.
So like
so he keeps it lit.
Yeah, like I think like I've had sessions with like Travis Scott, French, Blac Youngsta, Yo Gotti, and like it's just like everybody pulls up. Yeah. So
yeah, those are the best. When you get a bunch of creative energy in there, and then there's kind of like the group that brings that extra like vibe in the party.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't necessarily need to be partying with them. Maybe you're working, but you definitely feed off that as an artist.
Yeah, my artists definitely feed off that energy.
For sure.
Like French loves that energy.
Yeah, bring the club to the studio.
Man, I'm really good at that. 2 a.m. Yeah. I'm going to be right back. I swear to you, I'm going to come back with everyone. It's going to be great.
Yeah. I think
you
people
don't leave, though. I'm going to bring it back.
Yeah, we'll be right back. Bring the bottles.
Right.
I think people misconstrue that sometimes. They see the videos and stuff, and they're like, man, those guys aren't working. They're just hanging out in the studio, smoking weed and shit. But that's part of the artist creative process. Like that's why we have producers and engineers that stay sober.
Normally when you book a session in the studio, it goes in like a 12-hour block.
Yeah.
So whatever your start time is, like the opposite is finish time. So when I'm putting an artist in the studio, I have rules too. Like I hate people sleeping in the studio.
Oh God, that's the worst.
It is literally, I want to do a handbook on studio etiquette. No, seriously, I started writing it.
You should.
And it's just like, whether you're assistant, whether you're the producer, whether you're an intern, whether like whoever you are in the room, like there are rules, and depending on who the artist is, like some people, they're very peculiar. Like, 100%. I've been in sessions with Puff, and he's like, no one have your phone. Yeah. Like, that's not the energy.
I heard Puff was like pretty wild about that stuff.
Yeah, and me and him
you gotta dress right.
And me and him are pretty close. We have a great relationship. And he literally blacked on me one day. He was like, yo, there's no phones. And I was like, yo, I'm so sorry. I'm like, French is downstairs and he's stuck. I'm just trying to help him get up. Like, not really talking to him anymore.
I swear.
Like, it was
just
crazy,
doing my job.
Yeah, so everybody's different. You got to have studio etiquette. You know what I mean? Like, there's really no talking on your phone during studio. There's no, like, because people get paranoid, and they're like,
what are you doing?
Like, are you recording my stuff?
Right.
Are you like,
Get that a lot.
And, a lot of times in the studio, like, it's a really, studio is secret society.
Yeah, it's like personal. It's very personal.
And the more expensive studios you end up in, you'll notice other people working there of high caliber, and it becomes even more secret. Right. So, for example, like if I'm working in a high-end studio, I can, you see anybody. Like I've been in a studio and seen like Ariana Grande and like Nicki Minaj and like Lil Wayne and like, and more importantly, you find out what producers are there, what producers are there working with. So I'm always in the studio, like, hey, trying to see like who else is there and what else is going on.
Yeah, their connection points.
And it's secret society. Like if you didn't come to the studio, I'm not telling you who was there.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you who was next door. I'm not telling you what I worked on. I have a lot of A&Rs that are friends and stuff, and I love everyone, but like they'll call me sometimes and they'll be like, hey, like what producers are you working with? And I'll be like, I don't really know right now. Yeah. Like, you want to know who's in the studio last night, you got to come pull up. If you come pull up, then, I got you. I'll introduce you. You know what I mean? We'll play as a team. Yeah. But as far as like a secret society, I'm not telling you. You got to come find out.
Hush, hush.
How much do you lead sessions? Because I do see kind of what Brad said before, where people can start to hang out and you guys are paying for that time. Like
well, pretty much what I feel like the record label does is when they enable you with the budget, is they're basically saying like, look, here's $1 million recording budget for this artist. Basically, this $1 million that you're going to spend in their studio, you are responsible for.
Right.
Exactly.
So
you're producing really, like on that end.
Pretty much.
Like playing producer, right?
Yeah, like I'm, like we want to know like what's going on, who's in the studio, what producers, what writers, what artists, what features we want.
What are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah, and then like, artists are sensitive too. Like a lot of times they're like, I don't feel like the music is ready yet. Right. Like please don't share it back with other label executives yet. Like they're they get really sensitive. So you have to like play a role of figuring out, what to tell them, when to tell them, what to hold back on, what to finish first, so that everybody's happy. Because the last thing you want to do is play something and then somebody comes like, yeah, I heard this. And they're like, I wasn't ready for them to hear that. And they're like, why'd you play it?
Right.
And they
I wanted to change those drums.
Yeah,
damn.
and they don't want you holding the music on to it. It could get really complicated. So I always try to like, per artist and like, just try to like, make everybody happy and comfortable.
Yeah, just curate the whole process.
Yeah, I feel like WhenZoëYourA&R is an experience. Like I don't feel like I can, because that's my hashtag I go by. I'm very strong about it. Nice. And it's an experience. Like it's not just like I can't just work with you for 2 days and you get the experience. Right. Like I have to get to know you. I have to see what you love. I have to see what you really want. I have to see what your vision is, how I can make it better. And there's a lot of lifestyle too. You know what I mean? So I get heavily involved with that. And, you want your artist to be popping.
Yeah, there's a lot of empathy.
You got to make sure they're in the right place at the right time with the right people, getting the right looks. They got the right outfit on. Right. So it's a little bit more than that because, with the more established artists, it's a little bit easier. Right. You're like, hey, you can call a producer. Hey, French wants to get in. People jump a little harder.
They're like, oh shit.
Yeah, all right.
I've just been in my bedroom in my underwear.
And it's levels to that. There's like other people I call that won't move for him. They'll be like, hey, like, that's your call. And like, oh, like, And then sometimes I got to fight for my artists. I'm like, hey, like I'm working with this new kid. Should we, can you? And they're like, oh, I don't know. And I'll be like, you know what? I'm going to just remind you that if you don't work with this kid, like I really need you to, when it's time to work with somebody else, remember.
Right. This relationship thing is real.
Barter control. But usually people know if I'm working on something, the potential is going to be very high. Yeah. And they'll participate. Right. My vision is very clear, and like I'm at the point where I only work on stuff that I want to work on.
Right.
Yeah. And I only want to work on stuff that I feel like is going to be legend.
Yeah.
So if I don't feel like you're going to be legend, I don't really want to work with you.
How do you make that distinction, because there's so many artists and there's even a lot of talent out there, but not everyone like can take it to that point.
Well, it's really, the whole point of the A&R thing, because you have the A&R, where we're making music creatively, we're delivering the album, we're making sure everybody gets paid, but there's also a whole nother realm of looking for new talent.
Curation.
Like right now, the most important thing other than working on my artist new music is finding new artists. Mm-hmm. So I am constantly out relentlessly every single day, especially right now. It's like a feeding frenzy. And hip hop is like my specialty, and it's just like, it's lead right now. So, I feel like the people in my office look at me to be like, hey, what's hot out there? Like nobody's out more than me. I go to like the bougiest parties, to like the hoodest after hours. Right. So I feel like I have a good idea of like what the people want to hear, what's moving the crowd in different realms, what's the vibe, Right. I don't feel like there's anybody else really around me that's out as much as me, is active in the community and like goes to as many concerts. And I literally listen to music all day, from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep, till I'm in the gym, till I'm in the car, till I'm in my office. I literally listen to music all day. So I feel like I'm very aware. Right. And with that awareness, I try to bring it back home. You know what I mean? I try to like constantly share with like the people in my office, like, yo, this kid is hot. This is going crazy. This is like on my radar. Like, just try to like, and get the, opinions of other people that I work with. Right. Like there's some other great A&Rs. There's a girl, her name is Erica Coultier. She's a female A&R. She works at Epic. She works on 21 Savage. She works on Rick Ross. She just signed 2 artists, Lauren Sanderson and H House. So I'm constantly sharing ideas with her and like producers with her. And that's like, tight. Like sometimes before you bring it to somebody that's a upper level, you kind of want to just like run it by somebody else and be like, hey, what do you think? Like, do you think this is good, or do you think
other
this is bad?
Tastemakers? Yeah,
and I'm like more of like the rap person, not like the singing person. So if I find like that's more what I'll reference, and I feel like, other people who are into like, more melodic and pop stuff, they'll come to me and be like, hey, I found this rapper. Like, what do you think? And, we'll exchange ideas and thoughts.
Yeah, that's tight. That's tight.
You know what I want to know is, I feel like you're at a successful point in your career, and I kind of want to know the backstory, because I think a lot of our listeners
how'd you get there?
Want to trace your steps.
How'd you get to Zoe Legend?
Long
right, it's always long.
But before I say that, I'll tell you one more thing. Because you asked me a question. You were like, how do you know if someone's going to be a legend or not?
Yeah, how do you get to that point? Yeah.
So for me, like, the legendness is in you, but sometimes it might not be able to see. And like the whole point about being an A&R for me is like to catch it early. Because the goal for the company to me is to get something and spend a little bit of money on it and make a lot of money on it, opposed to spending a lot of money on something and then it's high risk and you might make the money back, you might not. When you don't spend a lot of money on stuff and you make them a lot of money, it's just like, it's a way smoother thing. Because then when you buy something expensive early because you know what it is, it's just like, well, what if it doesn't work? Then it's just, it kind of makes you look bad and puts you in a hole.
Yeah, I feel like that's the hard part the older artists are having, that they've always had.
So what I do is when I'm looking for new artists who are like, I like to keep it youthful, I look for the elements. You know what I mean? Gotcha. I'll be like, okay, you might not be the best rapper, but you have a good flow. You know what I mean? You might, okay, cool, you have the look, but you don't have this. Okay, you're a great rapper, but you're not that good of a performer. Or like, you know what? You're a really good artist. You're really talented, but your look needs some work. You know what I mean? Gotcha. So I'm just looking for like somebody that has the elements that we can help to make them better. You know what I mean? I'm not looking for perfection ever. That usually doesn't come at this stage. You know what I mean? By the time it's perfect, it's usually very expensive.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And then the margins are like,
and then everybody's on it. So it's like, it's a bidding war.
Yeah, you got to be ahead of the curve.
Yeah, so it's just always trying to like, it's just a little harder. It happens to me all the time. I might point something out and then like, okay, it's cool. And then like 2 or 3 months later, it blows up. But it's on the radio or like, just got a boost on social media. And they're like, oh, I'm like, bro, I showed you this 2 months ago. The same artist, same song, same video. You just didn't see the vision, but you see the vision now because everybody else saw it.
Everyone else is on it.
So it's just like, I've luckily been able to been right in that realm so many times.
Are you finding a lot of producers and like songwriters and people like that?
That's so important.
Yeah. You're finding those people early too, huh?
Yeah, it's so important. Like a lot of times with the newer artists, I ask them like, hey, where did you get this sound from? Or like, who are you working with? Or like I have an artist, his name is Basswag. He's unsigned. I've been working with him for maybe about a year. And when I found him, he had this really cool song. So he was like, yo, you're A&R, like just give me the beats. And like, I said, hold on.
Yeah, just give me the beats.
I'm not your A&R. You're not at that level yet. I'm not saying I'm not going to help you, but you got to develop your sound.
Yeah.
Right.
So this same producer that you got this song with, that I heard, that I love, where is he? Show me this guy. Let's go back to him. Let's cut records with him. Yeah. Let's get into him and build your sound with him. And what other producers do you know or have you been working with, you know what I mean, at this level? And that's how I kind of go in and find them. Like there's this producer, his name is Tay Keith, and he's from Memphis, and he recently did a record with Drake that ended up like going crazy, Look Alive. Yeah. And but really, he was Blac Youngsta's producer that I've been working with for the last 2 years. And I literally have been obsessed with him ever since I met him, and like we started getting music, because he came with this birthday record, and like the knock was so crazy. I was like, bro, where did you get this beat? Right. And he was like, oh, my man's in Memphis. And I'm like, bro, show me this guy. I need to talk to him. Like his shit's going crazy. So, I'm always looking for producers. Like I just posted on my page the other day, and I was like, the number one thing that I follow more than artists, more than clothes, more than hair, more than food, more than makeup, more than anything is producers. The number one genre of people I follow is producers.
So who are your favorites right now in the game?
Well, producer-wise, I love Young Lan.
Gotcha.
He's going crazy. I like Molly Raw. I love Tay Keith. My favorite producer though is probably Ben Billions.
Nice.
I've made a lot of hit records with Ben Billions, and Ben actually ties back into my story of how I started.
Right. Okay.
And when I started working in Miami when I was really young, I started when I was 17. I started working for this producer. His name was Big D, and Ben was our intern, like assistant to the room.
Crazy, right?
Like he wasn't even the engineer, he was the assistant. Right. And we literally worked together in Lunch Money. He was in a group at the time that I was working with, and I was the road manager for, and like we all worked together closely. So it's great now that like Lunch has evolved into like everything that he is, and so has Ben, and like we literally been working together for like 15 years.
That's crazy.
So Ben, and like that's like my combo right there. And people are always like, yo, well, how do you get Lunch to like write the records for you? Like he's so hard. And I was like, we've been doing this for a long time. People are like, how do you get the records so fast? I'm like, that's my man. Right there. Like it's different.
15 years. That's
team building right there.
Yeah. You know so I'm like super proud of like both of them and like how far they've come. Especially Ben. He's killing it right now.
Yeah.
He's on another. I love Southside. I love TM88.
Yeah.
Wheezy's on fire.
Yep.
Like you got to keep your producers close, man. Yeah, even like the younger ones, the established ones, and like it's just getting that folder. Cardo Got Wings is crazy.
Yep.
There's so many good producers now.
Yeah, he produced Blac Youngsta's next single. It has Travis Scott on it.
Sick.
It's called Heavy Camp.
Super dope.
When's that dropping?
It's actually going to radio on Monday, and it's out right now because it's on its album. So we're getting ready to shoot the video. But you'll start seeing it, you'll start hearing it, it's gonna start playlisting and stuff. So look out for that.
Yeah.
Nice. How much are you involved in the marketing and promo side?
Well, that's where it gets complicated. Gotcha. So, it's almost like the music is my job. I'm all over it. I have 100% like authority and access to like make things happen and like do it the way I want to do it. But it's almost like, at some point when you're done and the album's done and, everything is turned in, you got to pass it over.
Yeah.
You got to pass it over to the
pass
marketing.
Your baby over and
like
hope
the
that someone takes care of it,
and the digital, and like hope that they love the project like you love it. Right. And they care about it like you do. And that part, like you have to kind of let go a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you'll get so consumed in other parts of the process that like have nothing to do with you. And sometimes you kind of got to just step back a little bit and let other people do their job, but kind of always be there as a buffer. You know what I mean? Like I have a decent amount of time. Like I feel like with my artists, I like to be on every email. I'm not saying I'm going to butt in or I'm going to say anything, but usually like the A&R has the closest relationship with the artist. So if I like to keep tabs and eyes and be CC'd on everything. So as things are going on, or I'm easily able to be like, hey, this isn't going to work. Call this person. This is why you got stuck. He's not going to like that. And, I just try to be as helpful as possible.
Right.
I try not to get like everyone do their job, because when I'm doing my job, I don't want like other departments like, hey, you should do this type of, no.
Right.
Listen, do your part.
Yeah.
I'm going to do my part. And as a team, we work together. So,
So do you get a little frustrated sometimes when someone doesn't take what you hand off to them as serious as you do?
That's the part that hurts the most.
Yeah.
You know, and L.A. Reid used to always tell me, he used to be like, as an A&R, you have to constantly fight for your records. You have to fight for your records from the moment you cut them till they're out. You have to continue fighting. It's a fight for your records. Because at the end of the day, I feel like I'm going to get a different type of credit than they are.
Yeah.
So I feel like I might care a little bit more. Like the music is more directly related back to me, more so than like, marketing person. So it's like really, really, really important for me. I feel like my career is on the line. My name is on the line. My music has to come out, because a lot of times with a lot of artists and a lot of situations, I've been a part of so many situations where we've recorded a whole album and it never came out.
Shelved, right?
Never came out.
That's such a bummer.
I've been a part of a lot of unsuccessful situations. So I know what that feels like. And I've also been a part of a lot of successful situations.
Yeah. Right.
So I feel like my gauge on what's working and what's not working is very accurate, because I've been on both sides.
Gotcha.
Talk to us about, I guess, like, because I feel like sometimes you don't know which record is going to pop. And sometimes the record that you didn't think was going to pop, like, ends up being the one. Like, how many times have you seen that in your career? And, like, does that often?
All the time. It haunts me.
Yeah.
It haunts me. So, like, French Montana's record, Unforgettable, was a song that we had. And, we literally put the song out on our own, and it wasn't maybe until like 7 or 8 months later that the label actually like got behind it and like put it for ads and like put it up on iTunes officially. Like there's a lot of drama with the record, and it was just pretty much about us believing and us standing strong behind it and us just like continue to force it.
That was a huge record.
Yeah, even with Blac Youngsta with Booty, like, a lot of people are like, oh, that's not it. That's not the one. That's not the one. And I'm like, I cannot go anywhere and not hear this song.
Yeah.
Like organically in the streets, this record is on another level.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know where you were, what you were doing, why you didn't hear it, but I'm going to let you know where I was, what I was doing, and where I heard it, so I know this is it. Like it's just this feeling that you get when like you just like, man, I just know this is the one. You know what I mean?
It's
and
a lot of gut instincts.
Yeah,
stuff.
and sometimes, you could be wrong.
Sure.
And sometimes you're right.
Sometimes that album drops and then, those songs come out finally and people get to hear the ones that you've been championing, from the beginning.
Man, that's the best part.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, the people will pick what they like. You know what I mean? You put a body of work out, you might think it's one thing. Sometimes it's best to just kind of wait a little bit and like see what's streaming the most or what's downloading the most. And like, to me, like that's the best indicator. And we can kind of figure out like, all right, we'll start with this one. This first single, but maybe we're not sure about the second single. Let's see how the people feel. You know what I mean? Let's see what they're responding to most. Like, let's see where the streams are. Let's see what's being downloaded. And then that's like the best indicator for me to say like, hey, like for example, Blac Youngsta's next single, Heavy Camp, is very different than Booty. It's very different than a lot of his music. It's very melodic. It's a lot of fun. It's just like, and he's like, well, where am I going to perform this? And I was like, do you know what this song is doing? I was like, analytically, this song is on another level. So clearly you have a fan base that you don't even know about, that you're not even tapped into, that they're reaching out to you and like, you don't even know.
Yeah.
I felt like
what is this? What do I do with this?
I felt like that with Unforgettable. That was not like, a
typical French song.
French's go-to sound.
So the goal is always to like build your listening base, build your fan base, and spreading out and doing new things. I keep telling them you can't feed the same audience over and over and over. Your core fan base is always going to be your core fan base. They're not going anywhere. They're going to love whatever you do.
Right.
But what about the new fans? Like, how are you going to get new fans, and how are you going to acquire new listeners?
Right.
And you got to constantly try new things.
I think there's like a skill of understanding, especially with artists that have done 1, 2, 3, 4 albums, you know what I mean? And understanding their market, you know what I mean? And not just doing like a repetition thing where they just make the same album over and over again.
Yeah, because then, you'll notice in the sales that you don't get the same results.
Yeah.
like you'll see a decline. So that's a strong indicator too. Hey, maybe we should try something new.
Yeah. Hey, this is market research. Weird.
And I feel like that's one of the skills you got to have as an A&R is like, how do you approach, the artist and introduce like, here's a new sound, here's a new producer, here's a new.
I feel like with the artists, like the artist has to know what they want. You know what I mean? The artist has to be creative. The artist has to have a vision for themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then once you figure out what that is, I feel like that's when I come in and like, all right, how can I make this bigger? How can I make this better?
Yeah.
So like, for example, with Unforgettable, French had this video with these kids on YouTube, like from Africa. And he just like had this video and he was like watching these kids dance and he would play a song with the kids and like, he's like, yo, I'm inspired by this. So, everyone's like, oh yeah, that's great. You found some kids in Africa. Like, guess what? We're going to find those kids. I don't know who these kids are. They're tight. Like in the middle of Uganda in the village dancing. But we're going to find these kids.
Yeah, let's go find them.
And we literally went on a mission and because we're like, we should shoot the video. We should put the kids in it. And his director, Spiff TV, and literally went to Uganda like 2 weeks early.
Oh, my God.
Even before
that's so dope.
Like had to track down like who put the video up and where it came from and if it got cleared.
That's
and
crazy.
Like literally did all this research and we found the kids.
This was like a YouTube video or something?
A YouTube video.
Wow.
Random YouTube, like African kids dancing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And he was so inspired by it. I was like, we have to get these kids to him. Like, we have to figure this out. Like, this is going to be legend.
Yeah.
So we ended up finding the kids. We go to Uganda. We shoot the video. It's like amazing. The kids are so great. We ended up like bringing them back to America a few times. And like they performed with him last year at this time at the BET Awards. So that was a great experience for them. And
tight.
Like, every
just
time
like change those kids' lives.
Yeah,
too.
every time we could
so
like get them on like a huge platform, daytime TV, would like fly them back. But it's just like, people were just, even with the video, like the video cost over $300,000 and people were like, yo, that's way too much for a video.
Yeah, right.
That's crazy.
They always want to tell you how to spend your money.
We're like almost at $500,000. They're like, yo, it's too much. And I'm like, now in retrospect, with all the success of the song, like no one's worried about that.
Yeah, right. Now nobody cares.
And would have made a bunch of money.
There's a really amazing guy. His name is Sycamore. He's an A&R. He works he used to work with me at Epic, but now he works at Interscope. He's Travis Scott's A&R. He's been working with YG for a long time. He's signed Kamai. He's a really, really, really amazing guy. Like as far as like people who I look up to in this field, he's definitely like the top guy. Yeah. And he told me something. He said, because I'm always worried about, I'm like, yo, but I'm doing this and like I feel like they're gonna be mad and like I don't feel like anybody gets it. He said, listen, do what you gotta do. Go find the record, get the hit, finish the album, because guess what? When it works, nobody's mad anymore. Nobody ever thinks about you were over budget and nobody's ever mad that you didn't come
when
because
it's
you went to go this.
And everyone's getting paid.
Yeah, everybody forgets about all the drama and all the bullshit and like and like all the worries. Like he's like, just come with the hit. Yeah. When you come with the hit, everything else like they're you're the champion. Like none of that stuff even matters.
And they're like, let's go spend $300,000 again.
Yeah, right. So I was like,
so whose idea was it to get Sway Lee on there?
French.
Yeah, cool. That makes sense.
French is like, he literally knows what he wants.
That's great.
He has a huge vision. He knows what he wants. He knows what he likes. He's where he's trying to go with this. So I'm constantly like behind him on his tail trying to be 3 steps ahead. Like, how can we take this to another level? How can we make this better? Like, what else can we do? You know what I mean? And the more the successful the artist gets, is the harder the job becomes.
Sure.
Because like little things,
what ideas can we come up with?
Don't appease them anymore.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Little features, you have to like go for the biggest, most legendary, difficult person to get on the record with you.
We need Jay-Z and Nas.
Yeah, we need like all that.
That's funny.
So,
Yeah, that record was dope.
Yeah.
I was bumping that earlier.
It's so interesting. I think it's like what you say about French makes sense to me, because like it's the people you surround yourself with, and if you're surrounded by Puff and like people who have like these like just huge ideas of the world and like can put that and empower that into people and stuff like that, it just makes sense that he would soak up that energy and apply it to himself and his
yeah, he absolutely does too.
Yeah.
So his ideas are big. Sometimes I'm like, whoa.
I don't know about that.
Let's make this a realistic idea. Like,
yeah.
Like, how real can we make this?
Well, that's where it all starts with artists, the dreaming,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to have your own vision. A lot of times people come in like, well, what should I do?
Right.
Or like, what should I record? Like, who should I don't know.
I don't know, right.
You got to know what you want to
Yeah.
do. You got to know what you want to sound like. You got to have an idea of who you want to work with.
Right.
And I'll come behind you and I'll get next to you and we'll try to make it as big and as better and as grand as a legend as possible.
Right.
But if you don't have your own vision and you don't know what you want to do and you don't have your own ideas and like, it's not going to come out the same.
Yeah.
What are the things that you look for in artists? Like when you see a brand new artist and you know deep in your core, like this is the one, and I need to get a deal for this artist. Hunger.
You gotta
dude.
be hungry.
So important shit.
I noticed that artists that like, are doing too well or like have too much support.
Yeah.
Or, they're not hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Like and sometimes, you have all of that and you're still hungry.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking for hunger. I'm looking for like who really wants this.
Yeah.
Like who's gonna work harder than me?
That's this whole industry.
Who's gonna go above and beyond? Like who really, really wants this? Because it's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like a lot of times with girl artists, which is like I would love to find, whether like a rapper or a singer. Like I've worked with like Trina for like many, many years.
Sick.
And like I love working with women. I'm like, girls love me, but. With like when I look at girl artists, I was looking and be like, man, are you gonna work harder than Beyonce?
Right.
Yeah.
Are you gonna outwork Beyonce?
Are you willing to like put that level of effort in?
Why even start if you're not gonna?
I feel like people really think they are. Like they think that they're hardworking, or they think that they have the mentality, but
yeah,
you need that outside perspective to really know if you're.
My favorite line when people
hustler.
complain about stuff. Like, guess what? Welcome to the music business.
Oh my gosh,
it's only going to get worse.
It's brutal.
It's not. It's like it's a lot of rushing and then a lot of waiting.
Yeah.
Get
Biting
used to
your
it.
nails, dude. all the
like
time.
you got to get used to it. Like it's just a never-ending, nonstop go. Like.
Yep.
Like my schedule sometimes is so crazy, and as an A&R, it's a little difficult because like you go to an office every day, and I love my office, and like I have an assistant, they're like interns, and like the heads of every department are there, so it's like a little more formal. You don't have to like email. I'm not going to email you. I'm going to come over to your office and I'm going to talk to you about like, hey, I need help with this, or like let's work on this, or like how's that going? So I try to get in the office as much as possible, but then there's like a whole nother realm where like my artists, for some reason, only like working in the crack of night.
Yeah.
So I'm literally like busting my ass to be at the office like, 10:30, 11:30 in the morning to get FaceTime with different people in the office because it's a whole nother ballgame in there. You know what I mean? It's a whole nother set of relationships. But there's not one person in my office that I don't know who they are or what they do, because when it's time for your artist to be delivered, those are the people that move everything.
Right.
It's the people inside the building that move, that you just have to have great relationships with. Because I feel like the better relationships you have for people when it's your turn for your project, you just like get them to go extra hard.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah.
Like, so I try to be friends with everybody. I talk to everybody when my artist comes. Like, like I'm always like, bring something. French comes, French vanilla for everybody.
Yep.
Like, like whatever is whoever's coming. Like, I just try to like, with the staff in the office, like just show them so much love. But the difference is when I leave the office, I don't get to go home.
Right. Right.
I
Everyone
go
else
to the
like,
studio.
all right. Let's go
And
have dinner.
I'm in the studio, and it's just like, it's that secret society thing. You got to be there. And a lot of times, like, for example, if I don't have an artist that's in town or like actively working, you know what I mean? I still got to be in the studio because I have a lot of really great relationships with other artists that I work with and I help out.
Yeah.
Like, like I'm not Yo Gotti's official A&R, but me and Gotti are very close.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We work together a lot. I'm constantly giving him music, constantly supporting what he's doing. And that's like with a lot of artists on the label. So a lot of times, like I'm spending time with other artists and other producers and other writers just looking for records.
Right.
Like a lot of times I'm in there with producers because before I get in this art studio with my artists, like what am I going to play? My people that work with me, they call my computer the Book of Eli because when I open it, there's a folder from everyone. And I'm constantly spending a lot of time, hitting up different producers and like, yo, I need a fresh batch. I need this. I need that. Because you run through the music so fast. You know what I mean? Out of 30 beats, like somebody might pick one.
Right.
And the more established the artist, then like, more like the price is going up. There's a lot involved. Like these placements are very, very critical. So it's like, just trying to make sure like you get the best and you're working with the best people, but it gets complicated.
Yeah. Let me ask you kind of a question that I feel like everyone who's probably listening to this is thinking in their head, like, how do I get onto her radar? How do I get music to her? If I'm a producer, I'm a songwriter, I'm a artist, you know what I mean? How do I get to you, and what are the things that you look for?
It's that secret society thing again.
Yeah. Can't give you the...
Can't talk about that.
You ready to catch me in a studio. Like, if I'm in a studio
show up.
and somebody's like, hey, like, I'm a producer. Yeah, give me a folder, give me a beat. I'm cool. Like, Instagram is a way that like people are easy to find me and I'm easy to find them. But it gets tricky with like newer, like if it's somebody that like, oh, okay, look, you can look in their bio. They worked on this. They worked with this person. Oh, I didn't know the director. All right, cool. They hit me up. I'm going to hit them back. Here's my email. Let's connect. Like, that's easier.
Yeah, you got to be established somewhat in the industry to understand how it moves.
Yeah, when like people, like a million people are hitting me up and like, I'm a producer, but you have no placements. You never really worked with the artist. And like, there's so much trash that like you could really mess your air up by listening to a bunch of garbage, like hoping to find something.
Exactly.
So I try to like, I still click on everybody's stuff. It's easier with artists because you could like kind of look at their page and see what they're about and get a quick glance.
Get their brand.
Producers, you really have to like listen to maybe like some of the beats that they have.
Right.
So, but I have, all right, I got a surprise for you guys. Check this out. So I keep saying on my Instagram, I have like this huge announcement coming soon. I'm going to tell you guys what the huge announcement is. And like every time I posted it twice, like people are calling me like 50, 60, like, yo, what's the announcement? What's the announcement? Like, what are you about to do? And I don't know, everybody thinks like I'm probably about to sign something super legend, or I'm about to like leave the company and like go to another one.
Start your own label.
Yeah, just something crazy. But really, the announcement is my website. And my website is WhenZoëYourA&R.com. And it has like a Q&A section that's going to be really great because a lot of people DM me and ask me questions. Like, I feel obligated to write them back, especially when you send a good question. Yeah. And I feel like you're really interested and you want to know more and you're trying to grow and like you're really supporting what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like, I feel obligated to write you back.
Right.
So what I'm trying to do is like, but a lot of people have the same question.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's like, man,
just get them all together.
Answered. So that's why I was like, I'm going to do my website. All the questions on the Q&A are going to come from my DMs and I'm going to put them up there so you can kind of check it out. I'm going to have an area where I'm going to have you be able to submit your music. You know what I mean? It's like you're a producer specifically, if you have song references or if you're an artist. And, I was like, let me do a mailing list just so I have a lot of content. I have, like I told you, I'm doing my studio etiquette guide.
Yeah.
We need that.
Yeah,
we need a copy.
That needs to be your
coming
book.
soon.
We need it for our studio.
I got a couple how-tos.
Like, you got to read this before you come in.
Yeah, I got a couple how-to segments that I'm working on. Like one of them is like, I assisted for a long time before I got to where I was. And I think especially for girls, there's the girl thing gets so tricky, man.
God, yeah.
So it's I'm always trying to support them and show them. And I was like, there's no actual handbook of how to work with hip hop artists. And there's it's just a very, very, very lucrative field.
Yeah.
These people are paying 100%. A lot of money for people to, be on their team and run a real business. And I feel like there's so much knowledge I could spread.
Yeah.
My studio etiquette edition is crazy. Because people literally they can just be so rude. And it's literally it's embarrassing to me because guess what? It's my session. You know what I mean? I'm making sure the artist is here. I'm making sure that they're happy. I'm making sure the label's being paid for this. When you're paying for something, it's not my money. I'm not paying for it, but I'm responsible for it. You care a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the week, when you spent $15,000 in the studio, but you don't have anything to send back or you don't have anything to play in the A&R meeting next week, it's not a good feeling. And with A&R, it's kind of no one really tells you what to do. In my office, no one tells you what to do. You don't have to go to the office every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You literally have to, of course you want to be there, but at the same time, I spend so much time during the day pulling up on artists, pulling up on producers, going to events, supporting videos, and just really trying to figure out what's going on and what's out here. And LA's a great place because everybody comes here. It's the hub. There's always stuff going on. So it's constantly every single day I'm moving around, going to see this person, going to see that person, this person coming to me, connecting this person with the artist. So just gotta stay on top of it.
Yeah.
It gets complicated.
We're excited for your book.
Yeah, but
but your website, right?
Yeah, the website's going to be
tight.
crazy.
Yeah.
I'm going to post like the first guide on there so people can check it out.
Love it.
And then, we'll get into like some of the how-tos and tutorials. And like one of the big ones I have is like how to be like an assistant, for somebody like working in the entertainment field, like just, studio setup, traveling, like how to not be annoying, like stay out the artist's face.
Yeah. Things people shouldn't even need to be told.
Do not talk to him until he talks to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you just have to, like, especially when in the studio, give him 3 feet, bro.
Yeah, we're trying to make records
everybody
here.
Gotta chill. So, my guides are coming along pretty good. They're really interesting, and they're all like based on a true story.
Sick. Yeah. You should do video content. I feel like you're a strong person on
But what
camera.
I was going to do is I was going to do like both. I was going to do like the same content that I have in the guide. I was going to kind of like say it myself so people can get the visual. Because some people are readers and some people are listeners.
Yeah, totally.
I'm a reader.
Right.
Like I like to read things myself. At my pace, I'm a speed reader. I can get through the content. I can read it twice as fast so you can sit here and say it.
Right.
I'm a reader, but a lot of people are not. They're like visuals. They like to listen. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do both. Yeah. So like if you're sitting at your desk and you can't technically listen to what I'm saying, you can still read it. Yeah. And if you're in a place you can listen, that's great too.
You know what I'm kind of getting from like everything you're talking about with what you're going to do with your website is like in the music industry, I feel like, people don't understand, but mentorship is so important. And it's like kind of your way of being mentors to, more than just a couple people or whoever you can, handle on a day-to-day.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people have really helped me along my way. You know what I mean? And like just help me just be as great as I am. And I want to help others too, because I remember like there was somebody, so I'm like, damn, like why didn't somebody just tell me this?
Yeah, why can't I just look this up?
Like why? So I feel like, there's a lack of content in that area. So I kind of just want to build on that.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of gatekeepers, a lot of people trying to take like, their 7%.
And people are saying like A&R is like a dying thing. And I'm like, we're back. Like this is
totally.
important. Like this is, but I feel like if people knew like artists and repertoire, when you say I'm an A&R artist, people are like, what?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It's
like,
more important than ever.
How does that like
100%.
play in? So it's just like helping people understand what that really means.
Yeah, it sounds like like nowadays you're doing a lot more though.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of management, there's production, like there's so much more to it.
You gotta follow your records through, man. You gotta make sure your records come out, they get delivered, they get the best look. And, if you're a knowledgeable person, you can share the knowledge. Like if I didn't know, I'd be like, yo, you should just not say anything. But because I know better and I've been around for so long and, I've worked for a producer for like many, many, many years. I've been a manager.
Yeah.
I've worked for the record label where I'm now. I've been a part of the production company. I've worked for the artist. So I have a very good idea of what it takes as far as like everybody that's involved. Like I've literally sat in that seat, and the last seat that I didn't really get to sit in was like the label seat. So when I moved from Miami to LA, I was like, you know what? I did everything I feel like I could do. I did like, I was like, I got to take this to another level. And I feel like taking it to the next level, you got to go corporate.
Yeah, right.
Got to go corporate. Like I've done it from every aspect except this one. So, sitting in the building is like, I really understand. Like we have a meeting every week and it's called the senior staff meeting, right?
Right.
And my whole career, I've wondered like, where do like these big decisions get made? And like, where does this get approved at? And like, what, like how, like who's like,
who's making these final decisions?
Like, where does this fall out the sky? Like who's in charge of this? So finally, when I started working at Epic, I got invited to this meeting that like, senior staff meetings, like super important, like only the top heads of like the label executives and like A&Rs get to come. So pretty much it's like head of marketing, head of promotions, head of digital, head of this, like all the A&Rs, which is not
just being in that room's
so, basically they go through project by project and it only goes by like maybe what's relevant at the time. So like what we're actively working on, like whose album's coming in the next 30, 60, 90 days, like we'll stay on top of it. Collectively, and like that's where the magic happens. Like that's where like they're like, all right, well this is what we're doing and this is what we're gonna go out with and this is the progress and this is how we can make it better and like this was a problem and like here's the video. So I was like, yo, this is crazy. Like this is literally where like, because I've seen things happen with artists and stuff. I'm like, well, how did no one not know that like something like this person's arch enemy was coming out on the same day? Like how did no one not know that? So this was like the place space that like it's a serious room where like you could. It's a lot of information going around.
Right.
Like the president of our company, her name is Zoe Young. She's like one of the most legendary like women out here doing it for. So I'm super excited that I get to work with her. She's really smart. She runs a great meeting. She runs a tight ship over there. Right. So, you know, a lot of times I sit in the meeting and like it might not be my artist's turn or might not have a current project, but I'm in the meeting thinking about like, all right, well, if I was the president of the company and when it is my turn and I get to sit in the seat that she's in, how am I going to run my meeting? Yeah. You know what I mean? Right. Like what it takes to like really be a good leader and like navigate this ship. It's a huge ship.
Yeah, it is.
This is a $1 billion ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, like I found the meeting that like all the finest. So, you know, of course, when it's my artist time, I never miss that meeting. I need to know everything.
Exactly.
Because I only know about my department, but everyone else from the top of the other departments are there. So, you know, I'm learning and I'm finding out and I'm like giving them advice and I'm letting them know like, well, he's actually going to be here at this time. So maybe that would work out or, you know, because I maybe have more access to more information. So we really work as a team. But that meeting is like so important, especially when it's your turn to like just stay on top of everything, you know, because I'm going to speak for my artist and I don't want anyone else to.
Let me ask you a question like that. I'm just kind of wondering is like how competitive is the job of an A&R and like, you know, at the label when you have these A&R meetings, like how competitive is that job compared to, you know, everyone else? Like, are you trying to like have the best project, the best videos, the best, you know, release?
Yeah, I mean, it gets competitive. Like internally, I feel like we're all on the same page, and like, you know, we all. I think it gets more competitive outside, like from one A&R at one company to another A&R at another company.
Gotcha.
Like I'm not really trying to challenge, you know, the people that sit next to me because I'm helping them with their artists and their projects and giving ideas because they win. It's a look for all of us. You know what I mean? Like our roster looks good. We want it to keep looking good, but I feel like the competitiveness comes from like another, like I have peers that I'm really good friends with that work at other record labels that are like equally as cool and legend and like, you know, we've been hanging out. So it's just like, I'm more so competing with them like, damn, he signed this person. Like I didn't sign this person. Like, damn, they have 5 projects and I have 2 projects. So it's more so like competing with like the other companies and the other labels opposed to competing with like people that you work with directly.
Yeah, I just want to know because I felt like the rap industry is just like a very competitive industry, even from artist to artist. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very competitive. I feel like the most competitive part is like new signing. Yeah, like when there's a new artist and like we all kind of catch wind of them, and like so we start flying out, and we start flying them out, and we try to make friends, and like
I got a producer.
You know, at the end of the day, I feel like with all the record labels, like they're all gonna basically ballpark you in the same amount of money.
Gotcha.
Like if you're worth $1 million, everyone's probably gonna offer you $1 million.
Bucks,
if you're worth $5 million, it's probably gonna offer you $5 million. So what it's gonna come, because all these companies have millions of dollars to spend. That's the money's there for, to spend it. And I feel like it comes down to the relationship that the artist has with the A&R that's possibly trying to sign them.
Yeah, that's
you're gonna
everything.
go with the person because at the end of the day, after you sign and the smoke clears, all the people and the executives and this and that, like the lawyers, like they're not around when it's time to get in the studio and deliver the album and find that hit record. So I always tell artists like, hey, make sure you're not with the hype, that you find somebody that you feel like is going to believe in you, that's going to fight for you as an artist, that knows what your vision is, that wants to help you execute your vision, and that it's a process that you go through together. You know what I mean? Not that like, hey, I'm gonna sign you and then like, yo, figure it out.
Right.
That's a possibility too.
Good luck.
So I feel like that's the competitiveness like with each other and like, yo, like he signed him, I didn't get to sign him. And that's happened. Regrets. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. Like there's an artist I was trying to sign and I was really close and like somebody else that I'm close friends with from another label got to sign him and I was like, damn, I gotta step it up. I gotta step it up.
Yeah.
But you know, you can't sign everything. You can't get everyone. So you got to pick your battles wisely.
Yeah.
And go for what you really want, what you believe in.
What's the label's quota on signing? Like, is it so many artists per year or is just based upon?
No, we don't really have a quota. Okay. I mean, it's not, I'm pretty sure it's not an unlimited fund. Yeah. But if it's hot, we're going to sign it. Yeah. They're going to find the money.
Make it happen, however.
They got plenty money. Like, how often do we sign people? It just depends. Like sometimes, like I've seen people get back-to-back signed. I've seen sometimes it's been like a month, sometimes it's a week. It's just like whenever something hot comes in, you know?
Yeah.
And we're all in a race to find the hottest, newest, coolest thing out.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, there in hip hop, there'll be these trends like, okay, Chicago will get popping, and then like everybody, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like Chicago's hot, right? Let's go. Like,
yeah,
I feel
exactly.
Like right now, I feel like the next spot, Chicago's definitely up, but they've been up for a minute.
Yeah.
Is Alabama.
Alabama. Okay.
Alabama, they
Nice.
going crazy in
That's
Alabama.
what's up,
like,
yeah.
you know, all the YBN kids are from Alabama. But there's this other kid that I found from Alabama. His name is TNT Tez. And like, he's 18. I just thought he was so amazing.
That's dope.
Like, so amazing. Like, his flow is just different. His word choice is different. He literally has his own language. His dance moves are legend. Like, I'm like, you got a whole nother type of sauce. Your sauce right now is like special cook.
Yeah.
Because I haven't really seen it. So I'm on him right now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not. And then, you know, he ended up like signing to somebody else who got to it before me. But like, I still want to work with him. You know what I mean? I'll still help you. I'll send some beats. When you get to LA, hit me up. I will have some other artists that I want to introduce you with. And like, I'm all about artist relations. You know what I mean? Because you never know like what artist you're going to need to do something for you later. Or like if you have producers, you might want to work with them. So, you know, I'm big on artist relations.
Yeah, because, you know, people's careers can either be long-lasting or not. But, you know, those artists, you know, you may be signing later, just like French.
Yeah, I'm known to like move the talent. Like, I'm known to be able to get people to show up to things. And that's really important.
And that connection is everything.
Yeah, because normally it costs a lot of money to get people to show up to things.
Exactly.
So I might save you some money.
There you go. Zoe's going to save you money.
Right?
Yeah.
Zoe, what's the website? What is the URL?
It's going to be www.WhenZoëYourA&R.com.
Nice. So wrapping up here, last question.
Anything.
Yeah. What do we got? We got a last question, Kev. I've been thinking the whole time.
You're throwing it my way?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I have so many more questions.
Okay, you go, because I feel like my question's going to like lead into like another 30-minute conversation.
Sounds about right.
Yeah,
Sounds
you
about
go.
Right. So my last question is for anyone getting into A&Ring or wanting to get into a career of doing what you do, what is like just one piece of advice that you can give them to get them started, like in that path?
I'm going to give you two.
Yeah, cool.
All right. The first one is to be relentless. You know what I mean? Persistency and consistency will sometimes outbeat talent. So be persistent and be consistent. And the second thing is, I feel like, you know, get something that's your own. Like, find an artist that you really like, that you really believe in, and start there, because you only need one. You know what I mean? A hit record can change your life.
Right.
And, you know, you need something to stand on. Like, working with 5 artists and, like, not kind of really developing them or having, that's not going to do you a favor. I feel like you should find one artist, develop them, stick to them, and, like, make yourself the boss. You got to make yourself the boss.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got to, like, you know, put yourself in power. Like, you got to have something to bring to the table. Yeah. So maybe it's not an artist. Maybe it's a producer. You know what I mean? Like, work with a producer. Find a kid that you feel like is talented, you believe in. You know what I mean? Or like help them become better. And like, that's your thing. And like, just try to turn whatever your thing is all the way up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for coming out. Really appreciate it, honestly.
Anytime.
It's been great. Like, you're like, you know, shooting a fire hose of information through. So I'm going to actually have to go back and listen to this whole thing.
All right. No. I'm here if you have any questions.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'll make sure to get you the guide.
Yes, please. We got to get the first hookup. Come on.
All right.
We
No,
gotta
for
get
sure.
that.
Matter of fact,
we run a studio.
I'll show you the draft, and you let me know if I'm missing anything. Because
Yeah,
I'm
we'll
pretty
send it
sure
to our editors.
you come through some violations all the time.
You're right.
I'm start writing people tickets. Like, bro,
there you go.
let's go outside 15 minutes.
You know what you should do? You should make it like, you might even do like a picture book version of it. That'd be
Right.
sick.
There you
Yeah.
go. Make it real,
Make it real
easy
basic
to
for
figure
everyone.
out.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be
And
sick.
I could like shoot it in like some of the coolest studios in LA.
Right?
Like, just
Yeah.
really show like
that'd be
ambiance.
super dope.
Yeah.
It'd be really funny too.
All right, like somebody sleeping in the studio, like someone's like interrupting someone in the booth. They're like, you know, it's just like on their, bro, there's no phones in here. Like, who did it? That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I have to cut you back in on that.
So why don't you plug your socials for everyone out there?
All right, so my Instagram is Miss Zoe Alicia. That's MSZoeAlicia. And my Twitter is the same thing. So
Nice.
I tweet a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could literally check my Twitter and be like, she's having a good day. And like, you know what? She's having a bad day. So like my Twitter is like, I still tweet a lot. You know what I mean? I have like all these like either like motivational thoughts or like concepts or like, you know, like a to do or like not to do thing. And I'll just be like, you know, I got to tweet this.
Don't do that.
And if there's no tweets, it's because she's with Diddy.
Yeah,
she's busy, all right?
Or busy.
Yeah, she's on the Radium Podcast.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah. Your phone's blowing up the whole time.
No, my phone is going crazy right now. Yeah. Like it's really on another level. Like I hope everyone's okay because
everyone's safe out there. Should we call for help?
Something?
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah. Fires, put them out.
But you know, I try to take every call, man. Talk to everybody, and like you know, if you make sense, you text me some bullshit, I'm not gonna text you back. But if you like legitimately like are concerned or want to know something or like you know, I help people. I feel like that's how I always end up in a great position. So you know, if I can help you, I will.
Yeah,
that's great. Well, thank you so much again. Also follow at Radium_media. And we got KDE Beats and Bradley HD. Thank you.
Thanks.